Sounds pretty confident. I don't know if it's possible to just say the words and make it happen, but CC, how worried should the Panthers be about Cam Newton?
You should be concerned. Coming into the season, we knew Cam had an off-season surgery, so we knew that he missed a lot of training camp, so he might be a little bit slow starting the season. We gave him that. We know that they have very good special teams. We know that they have a very good defense, but how good can the team be? Well, it's really up to Cam Newton. Cam Newton's been very inconsistent. We've talked about it on this show, but the truth of the matter, how inconsistent has he been? He really hadn't been that inconsistent throughout his career. He just had that outlier of a season in 2015 where he was the MVP, and now we just upped our standards. Since Cam came into the league in 2015, it's alarming. The league average quarterback rating is 87.3. Cam, 85.3. So Cam is under what the league average is, but because of his size, his personality, and the dynamic year he had in 2015, we have higher expectations for Cam, but I think this is the Cam that we will see throughout his career. Average quarterback rating, 85 or so. He'll jump up and have a few games over 100. He's one of the few players that's had over 100 and a number of games where he was very, very poor. So typically we don't see that type of talent have that type of inconsistency playing quarterback.
But wait, yesterday was a little different than just
Yesterday was the worst game of his career.
Okay.
I mean, here's the thing, and this is why I don't want to underreact, but I also want to overreact to yesterday. Yesterday was the single worst game of Cam Newton's career, not just because it was a big game, a game where they went into it knowing in order to have any shot at a home playoff game, they had to win. Things fell perfectly for them to where they wouldn't have only had a home playoff game. They would have jumped all the way to the 3 line, which, if you are shaky on Philly, that could have been a home playoff game in round 1. And if they get there, a home playoff game in round 3. There was a lot to be gained for Carolina yesterday.
Yes.
And Cam was terrible. Again, not just terrible because of the settings, terrible in any setting. It was the worst passer rating of his career. There's only been one game in his career where he's thrown more interceptions. Take out the one drive at the end of the first half that made me fire off a little tweet to Cris Carter. Take out that one drive. He was 7 of 27. That's like a bad shooting night in the NBA. 114 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 picks. Like, there is no excusing Cam's game yesterday. I'm not as, I don't want to say panicked, I'm not as concerned as CC is because while I understand Cam's passer rating is essentially the league average since he came into the league, there's always been additional math to do with Cam Newton, which is the running stuff. And to call it like I just did the running stuff is not paying it justice. He leads the NFL in rushing touchdowns, not by quarterbacks, by anybody, since he came into the league. Now, none of it matters if he's as bad as he was yesterday. Yesterday, he was missing guys high, missing guys low. The Falcons weren't taking over that game. The Falcons...
They were not playing against a great defense, Jenna, and it wasn't just yesterday. He's had 8 games where his passer rating was under 70. So it wasn't just yesterday. There's only 16 games. Half the games he's had a passing rating of under 70. Now, I don't care if he rushes for 2,000 yards. When he throws the football, Cam Newton is average to below average. And we shouldn't accept that based on his ability. He has a big-time arm. He's played in this league 7 years. Like, this is a team that right now their quarterback is holding them back from being great.
Right, and it wasn't just some errant throws. I mean, there were times in that game where it looked like he and Greg Olsen had completely different plays called, right? Didn't it look like there were issues with it seemed like the whole entire rhythm of the offense?
Absolutely, and for certain quarterbacks, we blame that on the wide receiver. For certain quarterbacks, we blame that on the quarterback. In reality, it's usually a combination.
Well, I blame it on who I think is the smarter player. And when you saw them miscommunicating, Cam tried to say something to Olsen, and Olsen walked away from him because he didn't agree with what Cam said. You could see that Olsen was like, I was right, and Cam was trying to make some excuse or adjustment.
Here's my biggest concern with Cam Newton. It's not about accuracy. It's not about fundamentals. It's that at this point in his career, he should be past this. But you know what he reminds me of when I watch him? I'll personalize it. Reminds me of when I watched my son play basketball his junior year of high school. And why if he made his first 3 shots, he was going to have a monster game. A monster game. If he missed his first 3 shots, he was going to be in his feelings. He was going to be thinking about it. And that is what you see of immature athletes often. You see it in high school players all the time, that how they play in the first 5 minutes of the game sets the tone for the rest of the game. That can't happen with a 6-year NFL veteran as it is happening with Cam Newton. Like, do you think that's an unfair criticism that if Cam starts off slow?
I think it's unfair to DeMonze for you to compare him because in all reality, Cam is the best athlete on the field. So even if he didn't make his first 2 or 3 shots, there's other ways in basketball you can affect the game. You can rebound, you can play defense. And if he was the best player on the court, we would not expect that from DeMonze. So DeMonze, listen, bro, all right?
A lot of airtime.
Yeah, bro, don't be getting compared to Cam. Okay. Cam is the best athlete. Let's stop making excuses. Let's make Cam perform to a higher level. Like, why don't we do that? We do it with Matty Ice. Oh, the 2016 season was an outlier. Well, let me tell you what's an outlier. The 2015 season for Cam Newton. The rest of his other 6 seasons, he has been average to below average based on other NFL quarterbacks.
So all that being said, both these teams are in the postseason and have to continue to play some football. And for Carolina and Cam Newton, they have to go against a Saints team, which they've already lost to 2 times before. So let's talk about these 2 teams. Can either of them put together a decent playoff run based on what you saw yesterday?
Absolutely. Yes, both of them can. Because also, look at the number 1 and 2 seeds. You can't talk about playoffs until you talk about they're playing with injured quarterbacks. Now, which one of those guys do you have in Philadelphia? Nick Foles, do you have more confidence in him? Or Jenna and your boy Case in Minnesota? Because Minnesota has a better football team. Now, can they lose? Yes, but I have more confidence in that team. Can New Orleans put it together with their running attack, their defense being able to get after the quarterback? Marshawn Lattimore back at corner? Yes, they can make a run. And Cam, because he's on a good football team that is very physical. And the defense is going to have them in every game. So both of these teams,
do you think Atlanta can make a run? I know you were talking about the other teams that aren't the buys.
I don't like the first-round matchup. No, I don't think they can, because I don't think they can be consistent enough scoring.
And they're playing the Rams in the first round.
The Rams, I think, is the worst matchup for them. Now, they're going to get great weather in Los Angeles, so they'll be able to throw the football, but they've just been inconsistent scoring points, and I don't believe they'll be able to keep up with the Rams.
I don't believe in the Falcons. I understand they won yesterday. I watched the Falcons very closely each of the last 2 weeks. These were 2 games that they knew only need to win 1 to get in. Last week, they were awful, I thought, against New Orleans. I thought Atlanta in their biggest game of the year was awful. And this week, it took Cam's, again, worst game of his career for them to put this game away. This was a 6-point game forever. Atlanta dominated the first half, and it was 7-7 at the half. So in your 2 biggest games of the year, when you're playing a Saints team and then most notably a Panthers team that didn't play well, and you can't dominate the game, I don't believe in it. As far as Carolina, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think it's right to think in a playoff caliber game that teams are going to dominate. When you're very familiar with another team, it's hard to get. Now, I like Steve Sarkisian. His game plan for the Falcons, how to attack Carolina's defense, I thought was very good, where they got Freeman on the edge. They got him touches. That was I think that as far as it being a blowout, I think those types of things are very, very rare that we're going to see them in a divisional game.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.